In person, cut quite a figure. I first saw her at a book party 20-some years ago, and I asked Knock Waxman, the bookseller, "Who is that woman?" And he told me, and he grinned and said, "You don't see too many cookbook writers who look like that." You sure don't. She was extraordinarily beautiful. But I don't think she cared much about cutting a figure. She was easily the most beautiful woman in the room. I guess she was then in her late 60s. And she didn't seem to be making any effort to look more chic or more important than anybody else. She looked absolutely natural and at ease, as if she was just quietly being herself. That quality of appearing to be quietly, sensibly natural, just oneself, was a rare gift even then for food celebrities, and has got a lot rarer since. It makes you think there's something to be said for coming to celebrity only in or after middle age, when you and your psyche already have a certain track record together. Because Marion Cunningham didn't set out to be a culinary celebrity. She'd hardly even met one until she had, by force of will, conquered severe agoraphobia and alcoholism, and at the age of 45, bravely set off from her home in Walnut Creek, California, to take cooking classes with James Beard in Oregon. Her first major writing assignment, her work on the 1979 Fanny Farmer cookbook, for which Beard had recommended her to Judith Jones, didn't instantly catapult her to national celebrity, because her name wasn't on the dust jacket. Only in her late 60s, with the 1990 Fanny Farmer revision, did she achieve national fame in her own right, when Knopf, the publisher, decided to present Marion Cunningham as the public face of the cookbook, today's Fanny Farmer. The reason this was such a smart decision is that Marion Cunningham didn't try to swan around striking poses as Fanny Farmer. She was perfectly comfortable being herself, as a younger person might not have been after having celebrity thrust upon her. As far as I can judge, what mattered most to her was the role of teacher. She took teaching seriously. I suspect she may have thought about it more profoundly than her mentor, Beard. Her status as the public face of a reinvented classic cookbook gave her the chance to ask herself questions about what people didn't know about cooking and why they didn't know it. If you want to get close to the mind and heart of Marion Cunningham, in my opinion, the books to look at aren't the two Fanny Farmer revisions. That kind of all-purpose kitchen Bible is just intrinsically too enormous for much free expression of personality, unless you're Irma Rombauer. The two books I'd point to as the truest expression of Cunningham's concern, and in a very real sense her conscience, are Cooking with Children and Learning to Cook with Marion Cunningham. It's so interesting, so revealing, that she would use her late-in-life national stature to take on those two projects. The children's book, published in 1965, when she was 73, shows a conviction that things might be better for all of us if we could somehow put the fearlessness and curiosity of children, the sharpness of their senses, to good purpose in an ordinary American kitchen. This is not one of those feel-good books where you lead a kid through some lowest common denominator or formula for brownies and act as if he or she was Escoffier. It's firmly structured in 15 lessons. Cunningham is not afraid of that word, that presumes some brains and some sense of responsibility on the part of the kid and the parent. It puts great stress on using your senses to judge key clues like the temperature of a pan. It's meant to get very young people thinking about their own home kitchens, their own kitchen at home, as the nucleus of the food world, the essential source of meaningful gastronomic experiences that they're essentially in charge of. When I used the word conscience, I meant it seriously. I think Cunningham's experience as the face and voice of the new Fanny Farmer, her experiences were happy and rewarding, but also troubling. They brought her up against an increasing general ignorance of home cooking, too deep to be addressed by something like the Fanny Farmer cookbook. Probably most of us here have glimpsed this sort of gathering dark ages when somebody told us that such and such well-known kitchen Bible just intimidated them, or asked us a cooking question so utterly clueless that we just wanted to scream or give up. But because Marion Cunningham treated teaching as a kind of civic responsibility to bring the widest benefits to the widest possible audience, she didn't scream or give up. She thought, what can I do about this? And she brought a bunch of real kids into her kitchen for classes from which she probably learned as much as they did. Learning to Cook with Marion Cunningham, published in 1999, is a kindred educational effort, only this time for grown-ups. She started giving cooking lessons, as Judith said, to groups of absolutely clueless, ignorant adults with nothing in common except that they wanted to learn. Quote, I remember seeing the delight on my students' faces when they first looked into the oven window and saw the golden puffy biscuits they had made from blobs of dough just 10 minutes before. They were every bit as fascinated and as pleased with their efforts as the children in my earlier classes had been looking at their first biscuits through that very window, end quote. Marion would present these students with a recipe and ask them what concepts in it, what language they didn't understand. She would ask herself why they didn't understand these things, how she could improve her choice of words or make the flow of the process more logical. And her unpretentious introduction to the book makes plain that her reason for undertaking the project is a reason of conscience, the sense that home cooking on the whole is faring badly in today's America, and that thoughtful writers and teachers have no business kvetching or sneering or turning away from the problem. Here is a woman who had moved among the most glamorous culinary figures of the California food scene since the 70s and 80s, who could have made an entire late life career doing vapid little exploitations of her Fanny Farmer platform, although I hate that word, and her idea of how to cash in on success, aside from a notable love affair with an adored red Jaguar, was to try and figure out more direct, more probing ways of addressing fellow humans of all ages to whom home kitchens and home cooking are unknown territory, maybe unknown and terrifying. I already knew how to cook when the Fanny Farmer revisions came along, so though I admired them, they weren't any special inspiration to me. But what this woman tackled in Cooking with Children and Learning to Cook with Marion Cunningham always will be, for me, an inspiring example of the American missionary spirit at its most sensible and practical and visionary.